The stretch, I believe the last time was the fourth quarter of 2019 that we saw a tiny marginal gain in sales year over year. But the trend in sales declines has been intact. Is that the key number that investors are focusing on right now?
That was the really weak spot. They missed consensus by a solid 2.5 points on revenues in the quarter. And it was really widespread weakness. IBM reports across 11 different subsegments, and 9 of the 11 were down in the quarter. So not a lot of, bright spots in there. But I had to call out a couple that were particularly weak. Their big infrastructure services business, the piece that they're spinning out later this year, was down 8% in the quarter. That was a steep deceleration. The last 3 or 4 quarters, it's been running down about 4. So that doubled down 8. And then the other one was in the cloud and cognitive services business. That's their big software business. There was that business was down about 7% in the quarter in constant currency, and that's a very high margin, high profit business. So that's also particularly painful.
So this is relatively new CEO Arvind Krishna there, kind of taking the helm from Ginni Rometty. There's been a big focus because he does come from kind of the cloud side of the business. What exactly does then IBM have to do to get investors excited about the particular company and its portfolio of offerings again? Is it more in that push towards cloud? We know how well it's done for other companies like Microsoft and, of course, Amazon.
Yeah, that is. And I mean, Arvind's, on the right focus areas. He's extremely focused on returning IBM to revenue growth. He's very focused on revitalizing free cash flow. Because as revenues decline, free cash flow declines often even worse because there's a lot of restructuring involved, and they need that free cash flow to make these investments. But yeah, they're very focused now on hybrid cloud. That's with the Red Hat acquisition that they made a couple of years ago. They're trying to pivot IBM to being very focused on hybrid cloud, which is this concept for very large enterprises where some of your IT is still run in-house from your data centers, while some of it might be run out on a public cloud. And IBM wants to be that fabric. Red Hat's got a key product that's that kind of fabric that helps manage and run clouds that are sitting across these different environments. And that's where they're really focused. And look, that segment, I mean, Red Hat grew about 17% in the quarter. That was a healthy number. It's been very solid. The problem is it's just really small. It's a $4 or $5 billion inside of all of IBM, which is about $80 billion in revenue.
So what's the most important thing that IBM needs to do in this coming quarter to make sure that people understand maybe, yes, it takes time to write the revenue side of things, but we're moving in that right direction? What are the key metrics that investors need to watch?
Yeah, so the single most important one is the performance of cloud and cognitive solutions. That's their big software business. And specifically within that, a segment called cloud and data platforms, which is what houses Red Hat and all of the rest of IBM's cloud products. That segment, helped by Red Hat, is kind of running growth in the low single digits right now, around 3%. But that is the best indicator for investors of what the health is of that underlying hybrid cloud business, which IBM is really betting their future on now.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.